Welcome to African Teapot Podcast. My name is Exi.
And my name is Lini. Join us as we journey through Africa's vast variety of culture and heritage.
We explore issues most African families face, both home and abroad. Make sure to like, share, and follow this podcast. Join the conversation on social media and let your voice be heard. Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode on the African Teapot Podcast. How is the new month going? How is the month of March? I am pretty excited to be here, and I'm also passionate about the topic we're going to be discussing today. And I thought it was only befitting to have this topic today because the month of March is dedicated to women's history. And I thought it is only right to cover topics that are women related or bringing highlights to the struggles, fights, or triumphs of women, right? So today I thought there was a message that was sent to me a few weeks back, actually, by Becca from Malawi. And she was so excited to let me know that Inkosi Kachindamoto, hopefully I'm saying that right, is a chief in the district of Dedza in Malawi. And she was nominated to the UN by Brenda Iyoha. And Becca thought it was a good thing for us to celebrate and do like a shout out to her because she annulled 330 child marriages last year and at the same time sending these children back to school. I thought that was pretty great. First was the fact that Inkosi is a chief of her district. I think that's pretty empowering for us women to be represented that way. And that when she got that office, she took up the fight to eradicate or stop early child marriage. You know, you can't stop it completely, but it's good that in the different avenues we have people championing these causes and filling in the gaps for, you know, young children or girls that are voiceless or families that don't have a means to fight back. So I thought this was a pretty interesting story she shared or a highlight. So I'm going to go ahead and do the post so you can see the picture of Inkosi Kachindamoto. Hopefully I'm saying that right again. But I'm going to post it on social media so you can see her nomination and just, you know, applaud her for the work she's doing. So now that we've had our backstory or our inspiration to today's topic, protecting their innocence, like I said, is protecting the girl child, right, from early marriages and also empowering them as well. So before I get into anything, there are a couple of audios I want you guys to listen to just so you are aware that there is a lot of information that you can pull and have an idea of what is happening in the continent of Africa. And when I specialize in this, or I'm specific about the continent in Africa, it doesn't mean that early child marriages happen only in the continent of Africa or in certain areas in Africa. It's something that happens around the world. But I am focusing on the continent Africa because, of course, we are African Teapot.
Child and forced marriage is a violation of human rights and a harmful practice that disproportionately affects women and girls globally. Around 650 million women and girls alive today were married before their 18th birthday. Every year, at least 12 million girls are married before they reach the age of 18. That's 28 girls every minute. In the least developed countries, that number doubles. West and Central Africa have the highest prevalence of child marriage in the world. 4 out of 10 girls there are married before they turn 18, and 1 in 10 is married before their 15th birthday. In Eastern and Southern Africa, around 1/3 of the region's young women were married before the age of 18. The practice occurs among boys as well. Africa is also a continent with high levels for child marriages among boys, especially across West and Central Africa. Here, 1 in 25 young men were first married in childhood.
After listening to that audio, I bet you're on the same page as me because I was aware of early child marriage, but to be honest, I didn't know how big of a deal it was. The numbers were just staggering. The data was just alarming. So I thought, I thought it was only the right thing to do to share it to you guys or with you guys, so that it's not like I'm making this up, right? This is something that is prevalent. It's happening right now. People's lives, young, both boys and girls, their lives are being decided by people that they probably would never even remember or would never even know made those decisions for them, to be honest with you. And I can only imagine how infuriating it would be. And I just thought, you know what, you guys need to hear for yourself versus me just talking from my experience of watching these documentaries. And for the sake of clarification, I will include all the links where I got this information from on the show notes, so you can go to YouTube and you can, listen to it, watch the documentaries, and at the same time you can also read some articles online where I did my findings. And it was so inspiring when this message was sent. So thank you so much, Becca, for reaching out. And I thought this was really something that we need to be more enlightened on, because I was ignorant about a lot, especially the number. And I really didn't pay attention to the fact that it does affect boys as well. So now that being said, I came across a documentary on BBC Africa, and I was surprised because I didn't know that there is this organization, right, advancing girl-child education. It's in the grassroots areas, especially in Malawi, and it's also done in conjunction with Michelle Obama, Clooney, and Gates. They try to stop early child marriage by providing education and information to the local communities and the girls as well. And I thought Malawi is really doing a great job, because I found a lot of articles, like we said, our backstory is also from Malawi. So I thought it was only right for me to highlight what the country director of AGE Africa said, because she is in Malawi, and her name is Olanda Tamba. So she is a director, and she was asked why this happens and why is it the case. And before you listen to her, what she said is not far-fetched. Like what she said, I just sat there and I thought, these are things that happened, right? Culture has a big thing to do with it. Religion has a big thing to do with it. And when we say culture, is sometimes you just grow up and something looks normal to you because everyone around you is doing it, right? Because you would think, because a mother was forced into marriage, you would think she would protect her child. Sometimes because she was forced and she survived it, she survived it, she's thinking, well, that's all we are worth, surviving what the society gives us, right? When you speak to a lot of African women, or women in general, actually, not just African women in general, who go through certain struggles like early child marriage, or where they can't get employment, their rights are just not respected. Most often they live life believing, oh, I am worth just, managing. I'm worth just surviving these rules or these societal cultural aspects that have been placed to limit me. I'm just supposed to survive it. So I know nothing else to teach my child. I had hopes and aspirations, but I guess I really can't afford it. I really can't afford it because I just can't, right? I'm not male, so I just cannot. So sometimes when we have these conversations, people are so big on the fact that, well, she chose to get married. I mean, when you ask her, she said she wanted to get married. True, she's not saying that from the perspective of where she has other options presented in front of her. I did, right? The option of going to school was there. The option of getting married was there. The option of joining the military, the option of learning a trade, right? I had all these options. And so I picked one, or my parents pivoted me towards one, which they didn't say it was limiting to that, but they thought that was the best option for me. But at the same time, the other options were right there. No one was hiding it in the shelves. Nobody told me it was just for my brother, right? I understood, well, if I want to learn a trade, I'm going to learn a trade. If I want to be a politician, I'm going to be a politician, you know. It doesn't mean it won't come with its own struggles and obstacles, but I was raised where I thought, well, I can do it. Right? I want to be a journalist, yeah. So I can be. And our dreams are limited by our environment. So if I have never heard of astronomy, I can't dream to be an astronaut. That's sometimes something that we fail to understand sometimes, that some choices, when you don't have options, you take what is right in front of you. And just because I took it doesn't necessarily mean it's what, if I was educated about, I would have made that choice, right? Hopefully you guys are getting that. So I want us to listen to Yolanda Tamba, the country director, of course, of AGE Africa.
Advancing Girls Education Africa is a grassroots organisation that reaches girls across Malawi. Their key aim is to develop access to education as a way to challenge cultural beliefs of child marriage that are often deep-rooted in remote and rural communities. What are the reasons and the causes for child marriage? What are the conditions that lead to girls under the age of 18 getting married?
When you look at our context here in Malawi, the major aspect is poverty, because it could be a family has got so many children and the parents cannot just support them. What do? They force the girls to go and get married because they'll be there, they'll be independent, they'll be supported by their husband. But also sometimes they want the husband that have married this daughter to be supporting the family. So it goes round and round and round. So to challenge those traditional and cultural beliefs, it really takes time because it deals with the mind, you know. Also cultural practices, religion practices that really forces young girls to be so much ready by the age of 12 or 13, you know. We believe that when we educate just one girl, that one girl can be able to change her community and her society. By educating a girl, will be able to break the cycle of poverty, because this girl, be assured, she'll be able to transform her community. She can educate other more girls. She'll be the role model, and whatever it is that she's gating once she get an education, whether she'll be employed somewhere or she'll be an entrepreneur, definitely she will not be the very same person like the parents were.
There is something that she said which I think is pretty interesting, and I also believe that is one of the major causes reasons why this practice is so very difficult to get rid of just like that. I think it's mindset. When she said mindset, intellectually, I'm like, that's right. Because if people have a specific belief or a particular belief, it's harder to fight anything you consider criminal when people of that said community believe in what they believe in, right? Because most often we have this saying like, oh, well, it's illegal, they should just be arrested. In a culture where it's a belief system, it means you're going to arrest everybody, right? Even the kids that are involved, if you tell them, well, would you want to go to school or follow what mama says or what papa says or what baba says? Most often these kids will say they're going to choose what baba says because it's their parents, right? They're going to choose what the pastor says. They're going to choose what the imam says because those are their spiritual leaders. So if you watch the documentary, you would also, it's not in English. This part wasn't in English. So it wouldn't do justice for me to play it to you guys to listen. You have to, listen to the translation. Read the translation for it. So some of the local leaders were called, or men who, in collaboration with AGE, are working towards stamping out this early child marriage. And one of the issues they faced they indicated to face is the fact that not some of the people practicing it, they are not aware of. All right. So the moment you say something is illegal, one thing is that it goes underground. When it goes underground, it becomes harder and difficult for you to uproot that. And sometimes that's one of the issues that happens because it's a belief system. One, they believe they're doing the right thing. Two, you come and you don't know what's happening and you just deem them criminals. So they go underground. You see what I'm saying? And then again, there is poverty because they need to survive in societies where there is extreme lack, or, it just makes things way harder for authorities to deal with. So you want to work hand in hand with the culture, it's going to take time because you need to start working from the mindset. And I think that's one of the only ways we can, it's baby steps, but I think you are certain of the results. And you would hear that from some of the girls that partake in these studies or in this educational program provided by AGE. You realize that over time, the moment intellectually somebody has changed, or the moment someone's belief system has room for growth, right? Room for adjustment, you realize that it's easy to stamp certain things out. And probably that's why 330 children from early marriages were saved in Malawi last year, right? Because you start by sending them to school. The moment people have access to information and the mindset changes, or there is room to, mediate between them and others, you can easily keep something at bay. But when you just go in there with brute force and you just say, well, people are deemed criminals, you guys are, we've seen that over history that has never really put a permanent stamp on anything you're trying to achieve. You may get temporal and very dangerous outcomes, because when minds are not protected and these children are not protected, they just go underground, you can't find them. So I don't think using force is the way, because most people would say that. And another fact that also came to me while doing this was it's been discovered that a lot of boys, or a lot of girls actually, that go through or are victims of early marriages are also victims of FGM. That's female genital mutilation. And if you're wondering what that is, or where that's coming from, I did an episode last season for it's called FGM, actually, female genital mutilation. So you just go and check from last season and you're going to find it, and you realize that they're both related. The control of women's sexuality and trying to get the best value of a woman, which is always by controlling their sexuality or their sexual desires, has been a thing. And you realize that it's a consistent and constant theme through all of these practices that we come across, right? When studying some of these abuses or these practices that are just outlandish. But now that I've said that, I'm just going to continue this conversation on social media. I don't want to make this too long, but definitely we're going to come back to it. But I just thought for us to understand that mindset is a big deal. Poverty is a big deal, because when you're poor, there are a lot of things you can afford. You can't even afford to dream when you're poor. It's that bad. Spirituality, religion, the stigma. You don't want to be the only one who is not doing what is termed normal, right? You want to be with the cool gang. You want to be like every other person. So you kind of just do what the crowd is doing, even if you don't agree with it. That has a lot of power. Peer pressure, that has a lot of power into these institutions still being existent and still surviving. So I'm going to let you guys listen to these two girls.
Before you came to this community and before you had these classes, what were your attitudes to early marriage? Had you thought about it before? And how did this class help change your attitudes?
So it has taught me that you should listen to friends with those. Some people come with other ideas that will ruin your life, so you shouldn't take it to mind.
I was thinking that when I'm going to reach Form 4, I'm going to get married.
Form 4 is what age?
16. My mind was about to just see what really happened in the marriage. But when I came here some effects of early marriages, then changed my mind. When a woman is not educated, men take a very good advantage of abusing them. So we just want to be the first generation to change that mindset on men. Yeah, and I just want to have a good family without being beaten, because other women are beaten by their men because they just take them like useless. But I don't want to be a useless woman.
Thanks for listening, and make sure to join us for our next episode.
Follow African Teapot on both Instagram and Facebook for daily inspiration and motivation.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, African Teapot Podcast.